You are tuned into LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR, independent radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Please consider giving a like and subscribing to the LocalMotion page on 91.3 WVKR on both YouTube and Facebook. Now let's get Mr. Falco on the line. Lee?
Hey, Rita.
Hey. I'm going to just do a brief intro here and start off by saying Lee Falco is a drummer, composer, recording producer, and engineer. Lee has worked with countless musicians at his recording studio, The Building, and he also operates live at the Falcon in Marlborough, New York. He's toured internationally with such artists as Donald Fagen, the Lemonheads, Rachel Yamagata, Doyle Bramhall II, and many others. As a composer, he scored numerous short films and advertisements. Lee has also worked on hundreds of recording sessions in all capacities. In addition to performance and production, Lee operates his family's music venue, the Falcon in Marlborough, a premier and beloved music venue in the Hudson Valley. A warm welcome back right here, Lee Falco. Thanks for being here today and taking your time.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasure. You've got so much music going on. I remember I saw you last week with Lost Leaders at Colony, and I think it was Peter Cole that turned around and said, that Lee Falco, he's the busiest musician in the Hudson Valley with so much going on. And I think that's not an exaggeration. Yeah,
it's been even busier recently now that I'm running the Falcon, but it's all good things. I'm really fortunate to have so much great music and so many great musicians around me, and we're lucky to have such a beautiful scene here in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
We absolutely do. You know, I start off each and every show here with a track from your dad, Tony Falco's playlist on Spotify, and I do it kind of in numerical order, and it's always fun to see, you know, Tony's taste in music because it was kind of all over the place, you know, so your start in music, which you've told the last time you were here, I always start with like, you know, what got you going with music? Well, hello, you're the son of Tony and Julie Falco. So you growing up with music was a little different than most people.
Yeah, I was really lucky to have my parents there was always musicians around, there was always music playing, and yeah, I had an amazing childhood. My parents started me early with drum lessons and piano lessons and really fostered and valued music and music education. And it's great for me to have had that foundation, and I feel really fortunate. I've talked about in the past studying with Joe Carosa, who's an amazing teacher, a drum teacher in Milton, New York, and I studied with him for 13 years. And
what age were you when you started?
I was 5 when I started drum lessons. And that foundational education is so important, and I was really fortunate to get it because it made drumming sort of second nature to me. When people ask me, oh, how do you play drums and sing? That seems so difficult. It's really because I was taking drum lessons so young that it just was ingrained in me and became kind of second nature, and was helpful to grow from there and to have it sort of in my DNA in my formative years.
Yeah, and you played music out in bands when you were a youngster. What was the name of that one band that you were in?
Yeah, the Chills was the name.
Yeah.
And my dad kind of put that together with a bunch of local kids that were around the same age and a little bit older than me, and we quickly started playing around the area and playing all covers. It was kind of like a School of Rock experience. Mm-hmm. And it's so great that so many kids in the Hudson Valley have that experience with the School of Rock, the Rock Academy in Woodstock, and there's another one in Walden, I believe, and there's a few of these schools of rock around, and it's a great thing to have kids learn music and be able to play live and play in a rock and roll setting rather than like a wind ensemble in school.
Right.
And I highly recommend those programs for kids.
Yeah.
If anyone's got kids that want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just really gives them something fun to do and to aspire and to look up to. And it's some really, really great stuff. The Falcon, Oh, where does one begin with the Falcon? It always leaves me speechless. I remember the first time I walked in there, it had just opened, and I think I had walked in there a few weeks later, and I sat in the back, and I was just like, whoa, this space. And then I learned about it. The Falcon actually started before it became known as 1348 Route 9W. Tell us about the start of the Falcon.
Yeah, so the Falcon began, I guess, in the mid-'80s when my dad purchased the Methodist Church in Marlboro, and he wanted to make that a performing arts center. And he had been renting it, part of it, and had plans for it to be this big, amazing place of music. But he got in over his head, and the post office wanted the property, but not the church. So he sold them the property, and he dismantled the church for them, and he brought all the contents of that church building to his property, which is where I grew up, just down the street from the Falcon. And he poured a foundation and then used all the recycled material from the church to build this structure, which is kind of like a pseudo-church barn type space, and it's a big open space with gallery walls and a nice pitch ceiling, kind of like at the Falcon. It's almost like a mini Falcon. And that was built around the year 2000. And he started doing shows in there and kind of quickly tapped into the New York City jazz scene and was inviting all the neighbors and wasn't never charging a cover. It was all potluck, and he was just doing it for the love of music and for the love of community. And word quickly got out to local musicians and international musicians, and it was a real scene. And he was doing it almost every weekend, sometimes every other weekend. It ebbed and flowed over the years. But amazing musicians would come play in our backyard, and my mom would cook them dinner in the house, and I have all these amazing memories of having dinner with the artists, and then they would go out in the backyard and play shows. And that was a weekly tradition for about 10 years, and in 2005 or 6, he bought 1348 Route 9W, which was a cabinet factory when he bought it, and they were building cabinets in the middle floor, and upstairs was a showroom with all these showroom kitchens in there, and like a drop ceiling and stuff. And he had so much vision. I mean, it's unbelievable. I have vague memories of what that place looked like when he bought it. But he did so many renovations. He opened up the ceiling, and he built the bar out, and he created what is now currently the Falcon. And he never stopped building. He always had projects. He then built the underground out as another venue, and then after the hurricane hit and washed away some of the patios that he had outside, he went even further and built these beautiful decks that probably most of the listeners have seen if they've come to the Falcon. And that's kind of the timeline of my dad's vision and his love of the arts and everything that he created. And it's a beautiful place, as you know.
It is a beautiful
place. Really a masterpiece that he created.
Yeah, it really is. Tony was such a visionary, and he never sat still. Just when you think it was done, he moved on to something else. We also should talk about the thing that Tony did last with the path that he did in Marlboro right? During COVID.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, he really took up hiking, and there's all this land close to the home property that he owned, and close to the Falcon as well, that's owned by Trap Rock, which is a quarrying company, and they own hundreds of acres right on the Hudson, and he was hiking it. We've always been hiking it our whole life because it's just all this property down by the water, and he got in touch with Trap Rock and started a committee in the town and got them to lease 25, or I can't remember exactly, I think it's 100 acres on a 25-year lease, but he was able to negotiate this deal with Trap Rock to lease the land, for the town to lease the land. And once he was able to get that in writing, there was all this bureaucracy with the town to build the trails, but he had this vision to build trails. And when the pandemic hit, he got some of the PPP money to keep his workers employed, but the club was closed and no one wanted to go out to see shows. But he had some money from the government to pay employees. So he put his guys to work building trails for the town.
Amazing.
And he just went for it. He just started going in the woods every day with his guys, and he got a bobcat, and he just started building these trails. And he was so tenacious and so into it. I love the memory of just like talking to him on the phone. And I was out there with him when I could be, helping him build the trails. And I kind of got addicted like he did for a few days, but he was so passionate, and it was like the trails was just what he was like living for at the time, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And he did it. He built these beautiful trails. He built, I don't know what it is, maybe a couple miles, and he definitely had plans to extend it. He wanted to build a bridge across because there was more acreage that had been leased to the land, but you needed a bridge to get over to it. So maybe one day that could be made possible. But yeah, if anyone's into hiking and around the Marlborough area, it's called the Marlborough Nature Trail, and it's right across the street from St. Mary's Church, and there's a nice parking lot and a little kiosk that shows you the different trails, and you can hike down to 2 different creeks, and it's a pretty historic point. It's where Latintown Creek meets Jews Creek, and apparently that was a dividing line between tribes back in the day, and before they built the railroad, there was a large bay there, and it was a big trading area for the town and for the community. A lot of the farmers would bring their stuff down there, and there was a dock. You can see the ruins of a dock like that's down there, and that was a big trading port for the town of Marlborough. And then once the railroad got put in, it kind of silted up the whole area, so it's no longer a bay. But before that had happened, it was a bay that you had been able to pull a boat or a ship into and load up and bring it out to the city or wherever you would take your goods that we were producing. Probably all the goods that were being produced right at the Falcon, the button factory and the basket factory. Yep. They would have been loading that all down in that area and putting it on boats right there. So it's a cool place to check out, and it's not really a strenuous hike. It's pretty easy. Right.
And then you go see a show at the Falcon right afterwards, and you've got a perfect day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a little outdoor. And I remember Tony with the horses, too. And, visionary, absolute visionary. And, he was the motto at the Falcon is support living artists. And talk about the beautiful artwork that you have on a rotational basis on the inside of the upstairs Falcon.
Yes, so we try to change the artwork every few months, and currently on display is an artist named John Grande, who recently moved to Marlborough from Jersey City, and he's a great painter, sort of a pop art painter. He incorporates a lot of pop culture in his paintings, and there's some pictures of celebrities, the paintings of celebrities that he puts these dots over somewhere almost in a Warhol kind of fashion. And then there's some other ones where there's like pop culture references like Marvel and Entourage, but inside of these sort of more abstract paintings. And he bought a house in Marlborough and came over to the Falcon, and we hit it off, and he had me over and showed me the art, and my fiance helps curate the art, and we just loved his work, and he was so cool and just wanted to put it up as soon as possible. So we hung that probably about a month and a half ago, and are planning to keep that up on display for the next month or two.
Yeah.
And
it's fantastic. And Jess Brush, your fiance, does quite a job curating that as well. So bravo to Jess. And, I went to the Ulster Arts Award, which, of course, your dad won years ago, one of the first recipients of the Ulster Arts Mid-Hudson Award. And Sidney Cash was there, and he was talking about something that he built at the town hall. And there was Barbara Masterson. And I was like, I know all these names because I've been to the Falcon. And, it's just cool that it's all tied in there together. And that's how I know these artists. And
we're lucky to have a great visual art community here in this town. There's a lot of great painters and visual artists. Sidney Cash is one of them. He's had an amazing career and continues to have one. A phenomenal jeweler and artist, and his work is on display in the bar at the Falcon, which maybe some people have seen, the reflection art, which is light and shadows that create this gem of a piece that's on the wall there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time having your dad on the show, and he was talking about, an old shuffleboard table. And that, I was like, what did you do with a shuffleboard table? He's like, Rita, I made the bar at the Falcon from that. And I'm like, what? So he, all the materials that you see in your beautiful Falcon, it has a history and it has a story behind it. And, Yeah, so the musicians that you have there, and I try to say this a lot when I play artists that are coming to the Falcon. So you guys do it a little differently. You don't sell tickets. You do donations. Talk about how that started.
Well, it started with the house concert series and it being events for the community and for the neighbors and the people of the town. And it was on private property, so it wasn't a business, and it was just a house concert series. And so the donation box was made from this. It was my sister's science project. She built this box. I don't know what it was, but that's still the same box today. That's been the box for the last 2 decades. And yes, so my dad never sold a ticket for any of the shows he put on, and he kept that same way of doing things when he opened the new Falcon, and never sold a ticket in 20 years of presenting music. And that legacy is really it's really beautiful, and it's so principled, and so it's just a kind of a heavy thing, that he was never in it. He was never in it for the money.
No.
Or it was never like a commercial thing. He wanted it to it was a democratic thing, and he just wanted everyone to be able to see music and witness music. And he always told the story about going to see Taj Mahal in a park, and he climbed up a tree, and it just changed his life, being able to see and hear this music that he hadn't really been aware of. And I think he just aspired to bring people that same kind of experience, that life-changing experience of witnessing music, and that and changing their lives. And that's what he strived to do.
Yeah.
And he did it.
He most certainly did.
Trying to continue in that, with those same principles. And it is difficult because it is limiting in a way. But I'm still learning the ways of my dad, and so
yes,
I'm continuing it in that way, and I really hope I can continue to keep it that way.
I hope that you can too.
Plan to.
You have a great team. You have years of knowledge behind the Falcon, and you have such a great team there. And everyone that works there does it because they love the Falcon. And most of them, I think, knew your dad and just continue to carry that on. With the addition now of Graham being the new manager there, because you had John for so long, who was fantastic. I mean, again, it's just you walk in there and your guys are behind you 100%. And that's always been the beauty of the Falcon. It's like whether you can afford just a few bucks, put it in. If times are good, he'd say put in 50 or 100. I remember him distinctly saying that. And that's what keeps the amazing musicians that you have there coming back. I mean, everybody just loves coming there. The other thing I want to discuss, because your Sunday nights there have been out of control good with the help of Danny Melnick. Talk about what you've been doing on Sunday nights.
Yeah, for the last 4 or 5 months, Danny Melnick has curated the jazz series that we do every Sunday, and he was able to allocate some of his government money, towards the series, and so he was subsidizing the box with government money. And him and I put together a lineup, and it just last week was the last one of that series, and it was incredible. He put together an amazing lineup and some fresh faces that hadn't played the Falcon before, and I really appreciated the help. I mean, just the help booking, and Danny's an amazing promoter and an amazing manager, and he throws the Saratoga Jazz Fest, which is incredible, which just happened last weekend or recently. And he's doing all kinds of cool stuff. He just started a company to bring world music to the Hudson Valley, and Danny's a great guy and a great friend, and I really appreciate his help. And he's continuing to help. Starting in September, he's brought together the Jazz Coalition, which is a foundation that supports jazz in New York City and the New York area. And they commissioned a bunch of pieces when the pandemic hit. They gave money to musicians to write songs. I don't know if there were stipulations about, what the songs, if they had to be about something, but they commissioned these pieces, and they are going to book the artist that receives those commissions from September to December.
Beautiful.
And so there'll be a another great jazz lineup, and they're giving money towards the musicians to display the music or present the music, and it's a really generous amount, and it's really great for the artists, and I'm really proud to be a part of it and to be helping put money in jazz musicians' pockets.
Yes.
And all kinds of musicians' pockets, but the series I'm excited about, and we should be releasing a lineup soon for the Jazz Coalition series starting in September.
Sounds so exciting. You keep moving one foot in front of the other. I want to talk about this Sunday, too. I understand it's a tribute to your dad by Tasiji Munoz, who had a real love for Tony, that I know. And it's also going to feature Paul Schaefer and John Medeski. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, Tasiji's been playing the Falcon for years, and always has a rotating cast. He's kind of a guru of sorts and has these students, and John Medeski's one of them, and Paul Schaefer's one. And like everyone else who played the Falcon, they loved my dad, and they wanted to make the show a tribute to my dad. And it's beautiful. And in a way, every show that we do at the Falcon is a tribute to my dad. And so that's Sunday night, and it's incredible to have Paul Schaefer on piano, who was in the late night band, and John Medeski, incredible organ player. And it's funny, the drummer in the band is actually named Tony Falco, which was over the years always confusing when they would say on the website, Tony Falco's playing drums.
Right.
People often thought that was my dad.
Yeah, or they thought, wait a minute, you made a mistake. Isn't it supposed to be Lee Falco on drums, not Tony Falco? Isn't that a misprint? Yeah, beautiful. You are in a whole bunch of different projects, and you've got this beautiful recording studio, which was the original Falcon. You now call it The Building, and you're producing, you're composing, you're working with a lot of amazing artists there, and everybody seems to be having one hell of a time. So if people are interested in booking studio time, they can find you at the Falcon's website or on, social media or anything like that. So I encourage that because you really are becoming well known as a producer. I just played new music by Jill Lewis Walker, and I look and it's like, oh, there you are. You're on that track, and you seem to be on a whole bunch of different things. Lost Leaders, of course, they've recorded there. Talk about some of the other people who have recorded at the Building in Marlboro.
Yeah, all kinds of musicians. I'm actually in between takes right now on a session with Kyle Miller, who's a great songwriter who lives in New Paltz, and we're doing the last couple basic tracks for what's shaping up to be a really great record. And I've been working with Glenn David Andrews, who I want to give a shout-out to, who I think is listening.
Oh, nice.
And he's in New Orleans and an amazing singer and trombone player, and his cousin Peanut Andrews. And
they killed it at the Falcon a couple of months ago. Killed it.
Yeah, and they're coming back in October, and they're also going to be at Levon Helm Studios in August.
Oh, nice.
So if you're around, check out Glenn and his band. It's an incredible, incredible show. Really high energy, and Glenn's just a powerhouse performer and amazing vocalist. And we met at the Falcon. Actually, Danny Melnick brought us together because that was one of the shows that he booked for the jazz series. Mm-hmm. And we just quickly hit it off, and he had the faith in me to produce a record for him, and we jumped right in quickly, and we recorded about half a record's worth of material a few months ago, and it came out really great, and I'm really excited for this next session that we're doing in August, and I think it's going to be a really great record, and I'm really excited for what it does for Glenn, and just, excited to be making great music, and that's one of the projects I'm most excited about. But we have great musicians coming through all the time at the studio, and I'm working to incorporate all the great artists that play in the Falcon and, bring them into the studio and kind of figuring out how to keep it all moving forward and creating great art and great music. And
you're doing all of that. You are definitely doing all of that. Now, you're in so many different bands. I want to say that this Friday, if I'm correct, Jonah Smith at the Falcon, you'll be playing with him, right? And Andy?
Yeah, It's funny. I haven't played at the Falcon in a good month or two, and this month I have 3 shows coming up for the next 2 weeks.
I love it.
I'm playing with Jonah Smith on Friday, and Jonah's a great songwriter, Americana, soul kind of sound, And he actually recently had Bonnie Raitt cover one of his tunes, which was a
And
high
she
honor.
gave him a shout-out at her concert.
Yeah, I think she's been doing it at almost all the concerts. He was saying, we just did a show last weekend, and he said every few nights he gets a text like, "Hey man, I'm checking out Bonnie, and she just said your name on stage."
Oh, that's so cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday, I believe it's the 13th, I'm playing with Connor Kennedy, who's one of my oldest friends and collaborators, and he's got a great batch of new tunes that you could come hear on the 13th. And then on the 15th with Jay Collins and Scott Sherrard.
Both of Little Feat.
Both are in Little Feat, and Jay's an amazing songwriter. And you just heard that tune before we got on the phone, Love That's True, which it's actually, I think it's the same band besides Connor on that Love That's True track. And we recorded that at Waterfront probably 5 or 6 years ago. And that was an amazing experience. Waterfront Studios in Hudson, New York, and we worked with Henry Hirsch, who's this legendary producer, and I think it was the first time I ever recorded on tape, and it's a really great memory, and it's just an incredible experience getting to work with Henry and make that record. It was nice to hear that over the phone before we started chatting.
Right. No, nice. Yeah, you definitely have a lot going on there, my friend, and I got to say that I think I speak for most anyone that knows you is that we're proud of you. And you've got a lot going on, and your dad is looking down on you, and I hope you feel him really. I know I do every time I walk into the Falcon, and he's just smiling and he's hugging you, and we thank you for doing what you're doing because it's a lot. But we love the fact we're supporting the Falcon. I can't encourage enough people to go to the Falcon. You don't need tickets, just make a reservation. The website liveatthefalcon.com. And I also always encourage people, if you haven't heard of a performer, go anyway. Open yourself up to different kinds of music, and you're going to be so surprised what comes into your world as far as musical talent, and so great food, great libation, and always a great lineup at the Falcon. Just to go through this week, tomorrow you have a tribute to Levon Helm's RCO All-Stars. That's happening tomorrow. On Friday, you've got Jonas Smith and Friends, which you'll be part of. And then Saturday, you've got the Cuba Rica Summer Salsa. Things go a little crazy at the Falcon, don't they?
Yeah, we did the first one outside last month, and it was really special. It was so great to see the whole place alive with the outdoor stage, with the music on the outdoor stage, and I had the music playing upstairs on the speakers and in the underground, and the whole place was buzzing, and it was the first time we had done a show outside since the pandemic, and it just feels so great to have the whole space open, and it really showcases how beautiful of a place my dad created with all the multi-levels and the whole thing, and it felt really special, so I'm excited. It looks like the weather's going to be good on Saturday, and we'll do it again outside.
Perfect.
And we're not taking reservations. It's a unique kind of night. Typically for all the shows we take reservations in lieu of tickets, and for the salsa nights we haven't been doing that. We kind of do the food truck style where you just come up to the table and you can order food. And Cuba Rica is an amazing band. They sound like a record. I always joke whenever I have someone new doing sound for them that it's surprisingly easy. They just start playing and somehow it sounds so good. No other band is like that. They sound like a recording every time they play. And I love presenting them, and I love watching people dance, and it's definitely worth checking out if you like salsa music. And if you haven't seen salsa music, it's a great introduction to it. Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sunday, as we discussed, to C.G. Munoz Quartet featuring Paul Schaefer and John Medeski with a tribute to Tony Falco. And then great lineup all the time. I mean, the people you have coming, Jeff Tane Watts. I mean, I think I have 5 reservations this month alone, and there's more to come because I just don't know what's going on with a few other dates. So just amazing lineup of musicians that just keep coming back to the Falcon. So a wonderful place. It's home to me. You guys, you don't really advertise it, but you do special events there. You do showers, weddings, whatever. I know my funeral's going to be there. I've told you that already. It is. And so, it's a beautiful place. You've got the downstairs underground, you've got the upstairs, and just check out the website, live@thefalcon.com. Lee, also, you have your own website, leefalco.com. It's also a good way to get in touch if anybody is interested in some studio time or, having you play on something. That's the way to get in touch with you, sir. And I'm going to continue this hour just playing some of the music that you sent me. And again, thank you, Lee, for doing what you're doing. We're all behind you 100%. And we love you. You are loved just like your dad was, and you are definitely in that same exact category. So thank you for doing what you're doing. And
thanks, Rita, and thanks to you and LocalMotion and VKR. It's a beautiful thing, and I love your show and everything that you do to support the arts in the community. So thank you.
Well,
and thanks to all the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you soon, my friend. Get back to work. I thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Rita.
Yep. Cheers. Bye. 91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Mr. Lee Falco, the drummer, composer, recording producer, engineer, operates the Falcon in Marlborough. And we're going to play some more music. Let's keep some music going here. So Lee is also part of the band called Lost Leaders, and I've played them quite a few times. So he's the drummer on this particular track. Let's start it off with music by Lost Leaders. This is a brand new single called Foolish Heart. 91.3 WVKR.
You'll never have your fill until you take a spill, and every drop of milk is an ocean. If I had the nerve, I'd throw you for a curve, see if you could swerve in a commotion. Here's hoping. Fall down, my foolish heart, never spoken. Fall down, my foolish heart. 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 I'm a bouncy ball, bouncing off your wall. Too soft, too small to bother, but I could burn you down with the whole damn town. And hell if that don't sound just like my father. Is it broken? Fall down, my foolish heart. It's encoded down to the cruelest parts. I'm just groping right from the very start. Here's hope. Fall down, my foolish heart. 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 The motorcade is moving faster, further, bigger by the year. but leave it to the bums who panhandle outside to kill the atmosphere. The TV says go big, go broke. Between the reruns of Brady Bones and Gunsmoke, it's all the same to me. It all looks the same to me. The panorama of the hills of South Dakota looks so good. A diorama of a bunch of old white guys who died, you knew they would. AR-15s that have no recoil, pipe bombs full of ball bearings and peak oil, it's all the same to me. It all looks the same to me. It took some fears to get this far. And nobody knows just where our heroes are. They're still running. Don't concern yourself with the burden of proof. Judge, jury, and hangman under one roof, it's all the same to me. All seems the same to me. Looks the same to me, yeah. All looks the same to me.
.3 WVKR. That's Kyle Miller, the track called Diorama, featuring drums with Lee Falco, today's guest. Also Brandon Morrison on bass and Will Bryant on keys, also known as the Restless Age. Brand new music, Kyle Miller. We also heard music by Lost Leaders, Foolish Heart, the newest single by them. And Lee Falco, today's guest. If you missed part of that interview or want to take a listen to it again, we will be uploading it tonight on the LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel. And right now, we're just going to keep the music flowing here for another 15 minutes. And let's see, what are we going to play? We're going to play Restless Age. Let's do that. And this is called Take It. 91.3 WVKR, Restless Age.
Did you have a dream about me lately? Was I on my knees and asking where you'd gone? And now you're hoping that I want a brand new start, since you broke my heart to make it on your own. But I'm alright
never know, we still might come around. But I'm alright by now. If you wanna make it right, then I'll show you how. If you want my love, then you're gonna have to take it. If you need a chance, then you're gonna have to make it. Did you have a dream about me lately? Was I on my knees? If you want my love, then you're gonna have to take it. If you need a chance, then you're gonna have to make it. If you want my love, then you're gonna have to take it. If you need a chance, then you're gonna have to make it.
Restless Age. Take It, the name of the song. Restless Age consists of Lee Falco on drums, Brandon Morrison on bass, and Will Bryant on keys. Great vocals together, just great musicians. Thank you again to Lee for being my guest today. Again, if you missed part of that interview with Lee Falco today, it'll be uploaded on the LocalMotion Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel. And we're going to play one more track from Lee that he sent me. This is by Ron English. And let's take a listen to Grin Song here on 91.3. Let's maybe take a listen to it. What is going on here? Sometimes technology, we are doing this show live, and I'm not really sure why it's not working. Let's see if I can do it on another form of, let's see here. Bear with me, everybody. Thanks for, thanks for your patience, and thanks for listening and all that stuff. Much appreciated. And I'm trying to get this one track, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see. Here we go. Ron English.
Happiness sticks to your face, but your happiness seems out of place. Smile is a sign of a brand new start, but a grin might rip your face apart. Happiness leaves a trace. Happiness under your skin. Grin, grin, grin. Don't let the sadness in. Wipe off that smirk. Let go, grin. The damned laugh to the devil's chagrin. They taunt him with the skull under their skin. But deeper truth lies within. The devil is an angel with a little sin. Smile is a sign of a brand new start, but a grin can rip your face apart. Grin, grin, grin. The smile under your skin. Grin, grin, grin. Don't let the sadness in. Grin, grin, grin. The smile under your skin. Grin, grin, grin. Dare to go with a loony I've been.
91.3 WVKR Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. Ron English with Grin Song. Lee Falco is on that track as well, today's guest. Thanks again to Lee, and played lots of great music. We're going to go out with another track that Lee played on, and it was pretty amazing. So he toured as one of the Night Flyers with Donald Fagen a few years back. I want to say like 4 years ago or something like that. So I'm going to play this track with Donald Fagen and the Night Flyer, and Josie is the name of this. And Lee just absolutely killed it on the drums that night. I'll never forget it. It was just, I don't know, just unlike anything I had seen him do before. It was pretty damn special. So this is live. This was recorded on August 4th, 2017 at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester. So we're going to play a track of that. In the meantime, I'm going to be back next week with guest Nels Klein from Wilco. Really looking forward to that one. And then in 2 weeks, Joe Louis Walker will be the guest here. Eric Parker will be my guest on July 27th. So we've got a great lineup this month, great lineup in August, fully booked with guests already. So keep it tuned right here to Local Motion, bringing you the music of the Hudson Valley. Give a like on Facebook page, as well as giving us subscribe to the Local Motion Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. And again, a huge thank you to Lee Falco for being today's guest here on the show. Reservations are typically what's needed when you go to the Falcon. No tickets ever sold, but you can always make reservations at live@thefalcon.com. Check out the great lineup coming up at the Falcon. Also, Lee's website is leefalco.com. I'll be back next week, and now we're going to take it out with Donald Fagen and the Night Flyer featuring Lee Falco on drums. 91.3 WVKR. Until next time, I wish you peace.
Much easier to shut. But those guys, they don't have to do that much. They just come on for 40 minutes and split.